In this episode of Blick Studios, we're going to be creating value scales and practicing different techniques for creating value. The first technique that we're practicing is probably the most common one, known as blending. With blending, we try to create a smooth, gentle transition from one tone right into the next. Notice I'm using the side of my pencil lead more than just the point in order to cover as much ground as possible and keep my strokes smooth and even. For this technique, you control the lightness and darkness by the amount of pressure that you apply, and make sure to try to fill each box completely and evenly as you can. As you work from one tone to the next, it should get progressively and evenly lighter, working from the dark end all the way down to the light end. The pencils I'm using to do this are the Blick Studios series graphite pencils. This set comes in 6B, 4B, 2B, B, HB, and 2H. The higher the number, the farther along in the spectrum the pencil is. So on the B end, the 6B is our darkest pencil with the softest lead, and on the lightest end we have 2H, which is our hardest pencil, producing the lightest line. Take your time filling in each box. Keep in mind that this video is sped up twice the regular speed in order to keep the video short. Try to fill in each box as evenly as possible before moving on to the next box. Keep in mind that it should get progressively lighter each time you work towards the lighter end. And you may have to go back from time to time to readjust your boxes to create that even flow from one tone to the next. Now, as most people are familiar with blending, you can also go back and rub it smooth to kind of blend in, or kind of create a gentle transition in your tone. It's a good idea to use a folded piece of paper or rolled up piece of paper to do this rather than just your finger. This way your finger stays clean and you also don't transfer any oils from your finger onto your paper. The next technique that we're going to practice is called hatching. Hatching is a technique that uses closely spaced parallel lines in order to create the changes in tone. To make an area darker, simply make your lines closer together. To make things lighter, space your lines out a little bit more, leaving more white paper behind in order to create the lighter tone. Now we can also control this slightly as well with the amount of pressure that we apply. Your lines can go in any direction for hatching. However, make sure that you keep them going in the same consistent direction. These are not zigzag lines, they're simply one-directional lines. This next technique is probably my favorite. It's called cross-hatching. With cross-hatching, it's very similar to regular hatching. However, we're placing our lines in multiple directions in order to create the changes in tone. To make an area darker, add more directions. For example, we can go up and down, side to side, diagonally one direction, and diagonally across the other direction. To start making areas lighter, take away some of the directions as you go and leave more space in between your lines, revealing more white paper. This is a technique that can be done in any medium, including ink, and produces a really nice texture and appearance to your work. It may take some patience and it may take a little practice to get the hang of, but once you do, the result is very nice. The final technique in this series is called stippling. In order to create stippling, we're using a pattern of dots in various sizes and closeness in order to create the tonal changes. In order to create a darker area, we do a higher concentration of dots, more closely packed. In order to create things lighter, we space the dots out even more and even can create smaller dots. Now, this technique can also be done using other shapes and even letters in order to create the stippling. Once you have a value scale created, you can use this as a tool to measure the darkness and lightness in a drawing that you're creating. You can compare this with your subject, whether it's a photograph or something live in front of you, and see how dark or how light it should be on your paper as you're drawing. The value scales that we're creating, these can also help you decide on what pencil to use in order to create that darkness or lightness that you're using. Thank you for watching this video. Remember to practice to improve your skills. If you enjoy the Blick Studios series, please consider subscribing. Thank you.